Dr. Joshua Weiner is answering questions today on everything from overscheduling children to suicide. And good morning.
Hi, Barbara.
Good to have you with us. We should get right to this because we've got quite a few questions today. Great to have you with us.
Thanks.
Here's our first question. It reads, my 24-year-old brother is still living with my parents. He graduated from college a year ago and had no job since then. As far as we know, he just plays computer games all day. I think it's likely that he has depression, but there's no chance that he would actually ever go to see someone and get treated. Any advice?
This is unfortunately a pretty common problem. I think that what the parents need to do is they need to really get tough with their son. I think that they should really encourage him to go seek some help. If he refuses, I think they should make an ultimatum, say, we're not going to let you continue to live here unless we as a family go and talk to somebody about this. But more importantly, I think they have to start making life a little less comfortable for their son. I think if they might have to resort to some extreme measures, turn off his phone, take away his computer games, maybe shut down the internet and maybe use their iPods or go get an iPad rather, to surf the internet so that they could take away that opportunity for him to feel like he can just sit down in the basement and do his thing during the day and feel kind of comfortable. They need to make him uncomfortable to push him to change.
Because it's what's really, in the long run, going to be good for him.
Absolutely.
Yeah, all right. Let's move to our next question. I'm concerned that my wife has been overscheduling my elementary-age kids. She wants them involved in several sports, learning how to play an instrument, and pushing them to be top-notch students. I'm concerned that this is too much for them. Do you have any advice?
This is a big issue, I think, for a lot of families. Now, there are a lot of kids out there who are spending way too much time just surfing the internet, spending 7 hours a day on average on screen time. But then there's this whole other set of the population where these kids are overscheduled, overstressed, and they're feeling it. They're coming in with depression symptoms, anxiety symptoms. I see this fairly frequently in my practice. I think that there are a few things that parents need to do. Number one, they have to ask themselves, is my child getting enough sleep? Sleep is absolutely critical, and if you're overscheduled, one of the first things to go is sleep. That's not good for anybody. Number two is my child happy? Are they willingly going to all these things, or are they putting up a fuss? And number three is, how is this impacting our family? Having your kids overscheduled and involved in all these activities, it is not only stressful for the kid, it's stressful for the parents. It can cause relationship problems. And I think sometimes families need to take a step back, take a deep breath, really look at why are we doing all this? Are we hoping that we get a scholarship? If that's the case,
that's what a lot of parents say.
I don't think that's a good enough excuse. I think parents need to step back and really take a deep breath.
Okay, let's get another question. And I recently had a teenage family member commit suicide. This came as a complete shock to her family, her therapist, her psychiatrist too. She didn't have a suicide note or any indication that she was planning to do this. Do most people that make suicide attempts leave notes or provide some warning about what they're thinking about doing?
Well, you know, studies seem to indicate that actually most people do make some sort of warning. They either say something or write some notes, start giving things away. But my own experience in my practice has not been that. What I have found after having spoken with dozens of people who have made serious suicide attempts is that most of them, it's a very impulsive act. In fact, they did a study in Austria that found that most people only thought about the suicide attack for 10 minutes before they made their suicide attempt.
Okay, one last question. My husband has had problems with drugs and alcohol in the past, but has been sober for many years. He was recently diagnosed with ADHD and is considering going on medications since his ADHD really impacts his ability to be productive at work. Is it a bad idea for him to go on an ADHD medication given his abuse history?
You do need to be careful with this because ADHD medications that are primarily used, the stimulants, do have potential for abuse, although they are the most effective. There are several non-stimulant medications that can be used. Those would be the ones that you should try first. Capve and Tuniv Strattera, just to name a few.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Weiner. Always great to see you, and we love to get your answers to our viewers' questions.
Thanks, Barbara.
We'll see you next week.
You got it.